HollyHood was the story of Tyrone Hart, who is a young executive producer from, a hood in America, and I put him in this environment where he's in Hollywood. He's the new black part of the new generation of black people in Hollywood, and he's an executive producer. He's got his own show, and he struggles with the network studio and the studio execs over his show and controlling his show. And I also put a whole cast around Ty to let people know that the executive producer, whatever goes on with anyone else on the show, totally affects him. Everything affects him.
So what inspired you to write this story?
I worked on a lot of shows with a lot of black executive producers. I worked on Living Color, The Wayans, Jamie Foxx. So I had a different perspective than a lot of people get working in Hollywood. I probably worked with 6 different or 7 black executive producers. So that kind of inspired me to want to write about it. I read a book called Number One with the Bullet, who's about a bit behind the scene story about the music industry. So that made me want to write about television. I go, no one's writing about this, and people would call me from DC like, what's going on? What's the scoop? People were really interested in knowing what was going on. So that was what I wanted to write about.
Well, since you said people were very inquisitive as to what was going on, are any of the characters in HollyHood based on real characters? I know you didn't want me to ask that, but I had to ask it.
Yeah. I mean, it would be impossible to write about a world that I worked in for 7 years and not be, and I was so influenced by these people. So yes, there's a little bit of this person, there's a little bit of that person, there's maybe more of one person, but again, I'd worked on these shows. You can check the credits and see who worked on them, and you could kind of figure out a few people. Ain't that right, Sydney?
Were also some of the scenarios in the novel based on some form of truth?
Absolutely. I was a little devastated by some of the things that I saw in Hollywood because there are no real strict labor laws, let's say it that way. So a lot of things that happened in the book, sexual harassment, I saw a lot of that on different sets. Drugs, sex, rock and roll. I saw all of those things, and I put it in there. I just put it all in 1 week, and usually it took like a whole season to see all of that happen. But I just put it. I was like, we're gonna rock and roll this week.
So what was the writing process for you like? I mean, how long did it, because how many years were you in the industry?
7.
7 years in the television industry. So what was the writing process for you like? How long did it take you to kind of encapsulate that in a week?
Well, I started writing this book because I got the idea when I was actually working on Jamie Foxx show, and I kept trying to write it, and I go, well, it can't sound like this person, or it can't sound like that person, because I depended on these people to hire me each season. So it wasn't, and I wrote the first chapter and I stopped, and it wasn't until I moved to New York and was out of the business, and I go, okay, you know what, I don't need them anymore, and I can write this. Suddenly I felt the freedom to write the way I wanted to write. It probably took me almost a year to do a first draft. And that doesn't mean I wrote every day. I tried to write every day, but sometimes, you go 2 weeks and nothing comes to you, and you cry for 2 weeks, and then suddenly, the gates open up and the idea comes. It probably took another year to rewrite, to go back and add in and change and edit. So
what are you working on now? Are you going to do another novel? Or you just...
I'm trying to learn to blog, Really, it was like, that's a challenge for me. I'd rather much sit down and write a book than to blog. I know that sounds crazy, but so I'm trying to work on this blog thing, and I'm not writing a book right now. I've probably got 2 things that I've started and haven't gotten too far with, but it's coming. I probably I hear a lot of people saying that complete HollyHood say sequel. So I got a lot more stories to tell.
Well, let's just hope none of me inspires you in your next novel.
Wouldn't that be cute? The Puerto Rican is in my book. That Puerto Rican actress that cusses out the system.
I didn't curse out a lot of people.
No.
Just
me.
Just you and my best friend Julie. So that says something. Yeah, I cursed out Julie the first day. Yeah.
That's how she shows love.
Yeah. So but are you ready for the backlash? Like for certain people reading this novel and saying, because it's pretty out there, so are you ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, I told my truth. I told the story from my perspective. I didn't out anyone or, I don't feel like I told anything about anyone that no one knew or hadn't been written about, or I revealed no secrets. So I don't really expect backlash, and plus I don't need them to hire me.
I laugh because she said she didn't reveal any secrets. Well, Ty, the protagonist of your novel, right?
Yeah.
His wife, we find out that she's a part-time lesbian. But you didn't just out anybody. You didn't reveal anything. I mean, just...
There's a lot of swinging that goes on. Everybody knows that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I did. Maybe I'm prepared for backlash.